So with the Galaxy S27 Ultra, Samsung may finally be ready to address one of the biggest complaints people have had about the Ultra lineup. Let's talk about that. What's up guys, Sal here. So Samsung is planning some pretty major changes for the S27 Ultra, mainly the battery and the overall design. Samsung is expected to move to a horizontal camera layout, and one of the main reasons behind that could be to make room for a significantly bigger battery. Because let's be honest, Samsung has been stuck at 5000 mAh on its Ultra phones for ages now. Meanwhile, Chinese brands have been pushing battery capacities way higher using newer battery technologies, and even Apple, yes, Apple is now crossing 5000 mAh mark on its latest iPhones. At this point, Samsung's battery strategy honestly feels outdated. But that may finally change with the S27 Ultra. A Korean source claims Samsung is planning what he describes as a very significant battery upgrade for the S27 Ultra. The exact capacity wasn't mentioned, which is unfortunate, but the wording is important here. If he's specifically calling it significant, then we're probably not talking about a tiny 200 or 300 mAh bump. This could be a genuinely noticeable upgrade. Now, are they finally switching to silicon carbon batteries? Personally, very unlikely in my opinion, but what makes this battery upgrade more interesting is that Samsung reportedly wants to increase the battery size while also reducing the weight of the phone. Normally, those two things don't go together. Bigger battery usually means heavier phone, but Samsung has managed to pull this off before, so it's definitely possible. Apparently though, the thickness will remain the same as the S26 Ultra at around 7.9mm. Now for the display, don't expect any major upgrades there. The S27 Ultra is reportedly sticking with the same M14 panel along with an 8-bit FRC tech to simulate 10-bit colors, mainly because of rising component costs. And honestly, this isn't surprising at all. The S26 Ultra already brought solid display improvements, and Samsung usually does an overhaul display every single year anyway. Next up, Samsung is also reportedly working on a brand new Galaxy S27 Pro, and this thing is shaping up to be a smaller Ultra in almost every way. Previous reports suggested the S27 Pro would feature a 6.5-inch display compared to the 6.9 on the Ultra, and now the same Korean source says the Pro model will also get a larger battery. Now obviously we don't have a previous Pro model to compare it against, but apparently the battery will be noticeably larger than what Samsung normally offers on its 6.5-inch phones. And then we get to the cameras. The cameras on the S27 Pro are expected to be almost identical to the Ultra except for the zoom setup. According to the same Korean source, Samsung may use a 50-megapixel 3.5x ALOP sensor on the Pro model. Now before anyone gets carried away, no, this is not confirmed yet. This is simply what the source is claiming at the moment. But if true, this is actually a pretty big deal. This 3.5x ALOP sensor has a larger sensor size than Samsung's current 5x zoom camera, and honestly for a lot of people, a 3.5x focal length may be more useful than 5x anyway. And here's why. Since the S27 Ultra is reportedly removing the 3x telephoto camera, it would need to rely heavily on sensor cropping from the main camera for zoom levels between 1x and 4.9x. The S27 Pro meanwhile would only need to cover the 1x to 3.4x range using sensor cropping because it would already have a dedicated 3.5x zoom camera. That means portrait shots taken around that 3.5x range, which is generally considered ideal for portraits, could actually end up looking more natural on the S27 Pro compared to similar shots from the Ultra. Now obviously the Ultra would still dominate for long-range zoom shots thanks to its native 5x optical zoom system, but if Samsung truly gives the Pro model this ALOP sensor, then suddenly the Pro branding actually makes sense. Because at that point, it's no longer just a smaller Ultra, it offers something genuinely different in the lineup instead of feeling like an afterthought. Next up, there is also a fresh update on the displays on the S27 lineup. ZDNet Korea reports that Samsung is preparing to use BOE OLED panels on parts of the S27 lineup, most likely the base and Plus models, not the Pro and Ultra. Apparently, BOE offered OLED panels at around $5 cheaper per unit compared to Samsung display. Now $5 doesn't sound like much, but if Samsung sells something like 20 million base and plus models combined, that's around $100 million in savings. And according to the report, Samsung has already been evaluating BOE's panels for over a month now, and BOE is apparently on track to meet Samsung's quality requirements. So this sounds pretty close to a done deal at this point. If this happens, it would mark the first time Samsung uses BOE panels in its flagship Galaxy S lineup. Now yes, Samsung Display still makes the best smartphone displays, but BOE has improved massively over the years. Apple already uses BOE displays in some iPhones, and Samsung itself has already used BOE panels in devices like the A57. So honestly, I don't think this is something people need to panic about anymore. Sure, BOE had a rough reputation years ago, but they've come a long way since then. Anyway, there's also a new update on the Z Fold 8 Ultra that may not fully justify the Ultra branding, but at least makes it a far more meaningful upgrade. Click here to check it out, and I'll see you there.